All right, Awesomeon versus Mildred.
All right,
Awesomeon with
here we
Odette
go.
captain, Mildred with Jane captain. That is very fun. I believe Jane captain says if you parry successfully, you don't lose battery. Is that right? No, it's when you parry, you get a decoy. Is that right? Well, Odette captain is whenever you give your opponent feelings, they gain one extra feeling of that stack. So, for example, the first decoy, yes. Jane is when you parry, you get a decoy, which essentially gives you 2 parries for the price of 1. Ooh, big Tazu time. Eric switches in. Lower the volume a bit. Nope, not mute. Okay. Yes. Hello, welcome to the stream. Go. Tazu. Eric. Eric has bypass claws, which is a very good option for dealing with people that are very digitally tanky. A lot of digital tanks don't have great physical defense. Okay, they have effects on really high, so I am going to actually just lower their audio very significantly. In this case, Tazu, much like Molly and Odette, doesn't have quite as good physical as digital. And so so Mildred has opted to give her Eric bypass claws. Very solid coverage option. Awesomeon is using another firewall. Now Mildred just needs one more fireworks. Nope. Mildred switches to Zale. Zale takes the firewall in stride. Alright, now we have some extra music to go along with this. Hopefully, their music isn't as audible now. Okay. I have to turn my headphones down. Whoops. Alright, Awesomeon switches to Sayla. Sayla takes the Peck. Peck very strong for getting rid of high emotional defense. Awesomeon now has to decide whether or not he wants to keep Sayla in and take a hit. Seems like either of those moves were unable to kill Zale all the way. Now, Odette Captain has 1 max battery, and Jane Captain has 2, meaning that Awesomeon has fewer chances to parry successfully, and cannot store battery as much. So, for example, once Awesomeon gets one full battery, he can't get any further energy until he uses it. Mildred switches into Jane. Jane takes the hit like a champ. Huge physical defense with that bubble wrap around her. Ooh, we're switching over to the next song. Seems like Round End on Sayla has been pretty popular this tournament so far. Round End got a change since, I believe, the night before the tournament. There's an update that made it so that Round End now reduces your own positive, increase stats. Previously, it only reduced feelings and negative stats. But this means that if you had, say, Practice Stick in Round End, if you Practice Stick Sayla's attack up, and then Round End, it is reverted. Which makes it a little more tricky to manage stats in the long term for Sayla. Awesomeon switches into Cabin, which has Thorn Pendant. Deal a little bit of extra damage there to the Jane. Hovering over Heart to Heart. Heart to Heart and Tidy, both very solid options for Cabin. Blackjack will give the opponent 3 tired, since the Odette Captain plan exists. Now, if Mildred looked at the team sheets, she would see that Caben didn't have a emotional attack, which is pretty crucial information to know when you are playing Jane. Ooh, Topaz Locket is popped on Awesoemon's side. On the Odette as well. Jane is at 69 HP. A single unbutton will kill her. But you see Awesoemon is trying to make a read. The read was red to an extent. Sayla takes a pretty good chunk of damage from the Topple Hammer. Sayla has pretty strong physical defense and is not the captain, so it doesn't get the captain damage boost that Topple Hammer has. But now with Sayla out, Odette is a little more threatened. Let's see, I believe there were rules for using the turn timer, but I don't think any matches so far have actually used the turn timer. Ooh, the counter switch. The switch into Eric is, or the switch into Caben's red with the switch into Eric. Caben, of course, has very little to no digital defense. Can just get popped open by the Eric. Like so. Caben's out, does not get the chance to blackjack Eric. Flashy builds 2 energy. That is a full battery. So Mildred has an entire battery available. Awesoemon has to be very careful with what he chooses next. Whether or not that is going to get parried and lead to a decoy or not. Brings in Sayla. We're on the main menu theme of the soundtrack. Awesoemon very carefully going over his options, especially now that he has battery. Clicking the flourish button multiple times. Will it be worthwhile? Flourish does go through parry, as we learned from our first match today. Underdog, flourish, flicker glove, knocks out the Eric. Eric's flashy reign of terror is over. He has gone home. Mildred brings in Jane. Acidic Armor slowly eats away at move uses. A lot of moves in this game have under 10 uses, even under 8. So it is a pretty useful and almost pretty valid win condition to stall out usage. Especially with 3 moves in this game as opposed to 4. Luckily, Awesoemon's Sayla has Flicker Glove, which has pretty high uses. Managing the amount of uses on your team is pretty good, pretty important. Bypass Claws hits the incoming Eric. Eric is out. Pop-ups are actually doing some work. Yeah, pop-ups very slowly chip away, especially in BNO where certain characters can really tank out effects. Having entry hazards can be very useful to stop people from switching so much. Awesoemon is hovering the unbutton. Of course, Jane has very low emotional defense. Unbutton would be quite effective. But Zale, on the other hand, has very high... Wait, does Zale have good emotional defense? I know Sayla does. I should be doing more research, to be honest. Clicks unbutton. Mildred brings in Sayla. Yes, only takes 10 damage. Zill's base emotional is 40. Ah, I see. So not great. But Sayla's, on the other hand, perfectly fine. Takes the hit like a champ. Of course, Sayla did take 20 from pop-ups, and pop-ups are slowly starting to become really crucial to this fight. It's also worth noting that Topaz Locket means you don't lose any sort of tempo for being able to set up one use of pop-ups. You just lose an item slot. So I believe the pop-ups that Awesomeon put into play were in fact performed using Topaz Locket. Looks like Awesomeon is switching out into Sayla, his own Sayla. Ooh, a little slow down there. Claymore from Mildred. Claymore has very high base damage. Bomb Locket prevents the attack loss. So that is just a free Claymore hit, essentially, with little to no downside. Awesomeon sitting with an Odette at 93 and a Tazu at 12. Mildred has 2 full batteries two maximum batteries. That's no parries performed so far. Awesomeon's thinking very carefully about this situation. Have to be really careful playing around the Sayla here. I would too. Seems to be just deciding between one of these two. Neither has the best physical defense, so it's important to consider who can tank what sort of hit. Opts to bring in Odette. Topplehammer will be picked. It won't be able to kill Sayla outright. Yeah, nice chill music here. Ooh, a little trumpet. Ooh, Practice Stick gives a little bit of an attack boost. Literally a bit of an attack boost. Odette did outspeed Sayla, which is interesting. I guess thanks to the unbutton. Pressing the parry button. Has to decide on which move is more important right now. Mildred switches to Tazu. Can this game slap so hard? Yes, I agree. It's very good. Yeah, not a whole lot of feelings coming through. I know the Cabin had Blackjack. Haven't seen a whole lot else. Lunch invite on Tazu, I suppose. Backlash on Tazu is looking to be very tricky to deal with for Awesomeon, especially at this point. Awesomon's Tazu is out. Just has Odette left. Can he make any sort of plays happen with Odette, though? We shall see. Now, at least Odette has very good digital defense. So, something like a firewall from Tazu isn't going to do much. Ooh, 23, never mind. That did 23. And there is the concede for the GG.